Yeah.
Okay.
What can I say?
Yep. So we're all set, Jeff.
Okay.
All right, and we're back live on the air with Rene Gaudette once again. And good afternoon, Rene. Greetings.
Hey, greetings, Jeff. How you doing?
And everybody else, I'm great. Everybody else out there. So I thought this week we could talk about love.
Ugh.
Everybody's favorite topic, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
Well,
I mean, there's so much talk about it. There's lots of misconceptions, and we could go really esoteric. But I thought we could talk about maybe more the practical experience you've had with your own growth and self-love, and moving into more of a loving lifestyle.
yeah, it's tough, I mean, it's really, really tough to love yourself.
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things you're ever going to do. Because really, at the end of the day, we're trained from childbirth to think of everybody else before we think of ourselves. Okay? That's how we're trained, right? Religion tells you that, and society tells you that, and people tell you that. Everybody, it's like they want you to think of them first, and then you can think of yourself after. And so it's really, really difficult to look at ourselves and say, what's it mean for me to love myself? And it means that you have to look at yourself first. Like the wonders are always saying, fill your cup with love first, and then let the overflow fill all the other cups, as opposed to just kind of partially filling it and then giving it away. Okay? So what it means is that you have to have an actual shift of consciousness. It's a real shift in consciousness that has to take place, where you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, is this filling my cup? Is this good for me right now? And at first you do it consciously. At first, you start thinking, and you question, and you review, and every time you're doing something, you're thinking of yourself, is this really what I want to do? Is this really what's good for me right now? And then after a while, it just becomes second nature, and then you kind of have a sense of it, and then you'll find yourself in a situation, and you're feeling uncomfortable, and you're not feeling like you're being taken care of. You're feeling like something's draining from you. And so what happens is you sit there and you look at yourself and you go, whoa, this isn't for me. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing here, which is loving myself. And the hard part is getting to that point with people that you care about.
Yeah.
Like your children, which is really important, your family, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, having to say to your parents, no more,
Yeah.
I'll give you to you once I've given to myself first, and having to say to your children, because let's face it, we're taught from childbirth that, when you have children, you're responsible for them, you take care of them. It's your job as a parent to always put them first. Well, see, this is where I start to differ from a lot of people. I start to really have an issue with that, okay? Because at the end of the day, if I can't take care of myself, how am I ever going to take care of my children? How am I ever going to be able to go out and buy them the things that they want to buy if I can't even buy myself some clothes, food, a house, whatever, How can I possibly give it to them, So to me, it's like, well, you have to start somewhere, and you start small. You start by the daily living. Like you're sitting there and you're in the restaurant and you want a salad, okay? And you say to yourself, you're with your children, and your children, they're adults or they're not, I don't know, you're with your parents, you're with somebody that you care about, okay?
Yeah.
And they want a Caesar salad, and they want to share, and you don't want a Caesar salad, you want just a regular salad, okay? Well, a lot of people would say, oh, it's all right, we'll split the Caesar salad, okay? Maybe you're with a friend, okay, and your friend says, well, I can't afford the whole meal, maybe we can only split the meal, maybe. So you sit there and you say, okay, I'll split with you, but I don't really want a Caesar salad, I want a regular salad. So instead of sitting there and saying to yourself, no, I want a regular salad, and there's got to be a way to getting that while still splitting the check, okay? You set yourself aside, and the next thing you know, you're eating something you don't really want to eat, and it's not tasting the way you want it to taste, and it's not happy, and you're not being happy. But you've had a good meal, and you compromise. You say to yourself, well, it's all right. I was with my friend, and
good enough.
It was good enough. It was a good meal. The restaurant was good. The service was good. The meal was okay. It was good. It wasn't everything I wanted, but it was all right. And you make excuses for your life.
Yeah.
And you do it in the tiny little ways,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And so if you start in those tiny little ways and start looking at it and saying, there's got to be a way to give it to myself. While at the same time, if I'm in the situation where I got to do this for somebody else, there's got to be a way to also do it for somebody else, right? But when push comes to shove, I got to give to myself first. Well, when you start thinking like that, then at that point, you start saying to yourself, well, okay, now I can start living this way. And then when you start living that way, the little things move from little things to bigger things, and you start looking at the whole larger picture for yourself. And that's when you start to really live. My children, love them dearly. Don't get me wrong. I truly do love my children, and I would do anything for them. I'd jump in front of a bus for them, okay? Having said that, I won't jump in front of the bus unless it's good for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If jumping in
It's
front
not
of the
about
bus...
sacrificing.
Yeah, I'm not about sacrificing. I have to give it to myself. And if my life is finished, my life is over, I've done everything I want to do, and the last thing I want to do is jump in front of a bus for the kids, I'll do that, okay? But if I want to spend more time living and I got too much to do, sorry, it's not going to happen, okay? So don't walk in front of a bus and expect me to be there to save you, you know? And that's just the way I live. And my children understand that, and they understand how deeply I love them, and they understand how broadly I love them, but they also see me as an example of someone who can love themselves first while still loving everybody around me and still giving everything, all the extra that I got to everybody else. You know? There was a time, what was it? I guess it was last 2-3 years, I think, where I was sitting there and I was feeling really drained. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
I was really, really drained. And it's just like, I can't do this anymore. I was actually seriously considering stopping to Channel the Wonders completely, never doing this again, and just moving on with something else I wanted to do. It's like I really wanted to go out and explore the world a little differently. I didn't really want to just do the wonders, you know? And I was getting tired. I was feeling drained. And I realized what I was doing is I wasn't being my own example, you know? I wasn't giving to myself. So we started changing things around. I started adjusting things, started taking some time to ourselves, scheduling ourselves. So we had, instead of working 5 to 7 days a week, we started taking a couple of days off, you know. And instead of scheduling in family and that, it would be like, okay, well, you know, if I take every weekend off, you know, 2 weekends of the month is with family, 2 weekends of the month is just Maggie and I, you know? And what we're going to do is we're going to do whatever we want to do. I love to read. I mean, I really am, I'm enjoying it. Right now I'm in the space in my life where I love to read, right?
Nice.
So nothing I love more than to sit down in my gazebo, especially in the summertime, okay, and have a nice drink and read.
Yeah.
You know? And that to me is like, that's peace, tranquility. I've got, you know, forest all around me. I've got birds. I've got animals. I've got, you know, everything around me. I mean, I'm in the fresh air. I'm in the outdoors. It's rejuvenating and it's reinvigorating, you know? So I'm doing that now. I'm doing more of that. I'm not doing it all the time because there still is things that I have to do for other people. But I'm doing enough of that I feel reinvigorated and rejuvenated. So that now I'm at a stage where I'm not feeling so drained. And at the same time, I've also looked at my hormones and I've looked at my adrenal glands and, you know, I've taken care of my health a little better and, you know. So I've done a lot of that stuff too because it's all about filling your own cup, right?
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm coming at with love. It's to me, it's like if you can't love yourself, how will you ever love somebody else? And I know in the world we live in, everybody goes off and they say, well, I love you. Oh, I love you. Man, do I ever love you? No, you don't love people, okay? What you do is you love what they can give to you.
Yeah, it's needy.
Yeah, really. It's codependency, right?
Yeah.
You take a look around you, and most of the relationships in some way, shape, or form is codependent. You know? It's like you love someone because of what they can do for you.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking today, Maggie and I were talking today about relationships like that. And it's like there's so many people out there that this is what they do. They love you. They say they love you. And they do. They will do everything they can for you, provided you do everything you can for them.
Yeah.
There's always that provided part, you know?
Yeah.
It's not they'll just do it. It's they'll do it provided.
Yeah.
You know, and it's too bad. It's too bad we live in a world like that where we only do things provided we get something back in return.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when we started this Wonders thing, Maggie and I, we didn't do it provided we could get something back. We did it because we just wanted to put it out to the world. I mean, this was fantastic information, amazing information that had to go out there, and people had to get to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, we had a lot of, I mean, of course, when you dedicate 100% of your time to doing this, you also have to live, right? So we started charging for sessions and that kind of stuff. And then we got criticized by people for charging because the criticism is that if you're spiritual, you should not charge.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I've learned about spirituality is if you're spiritual, you'll love yourself enough to charge.
Yeah.
How else do you live?
Exactly.
You know? It's not like I'm doing this part-time. It's not like I got a regular day job and I'm doing this at night. I'm doing this 100% of the time. So at the end of the day, you're the one living your life. It's how do you want to live your life? You know, it all comes back down to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to live my life feeling like I've done what I've wanted to do. Like I've given everything that I wanted to give, but I got everything I wanted to get. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, that feels better for me.
Yeah.
You know? And Maggie and I, when we got together, I mean, when, you know, I had to go through a lot of self-growth and self-development to allow someone to come into my life who would sit there and say, the same way as I did to everybody else, here, let me, because I got too much, let me give it to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it was like before Maggie, it was always like, well, yeah, no, don't give it to me. Give it to somebody else because they need it more than me. Okay?
Yeah.
But it's not true. It's not that they needed it more than me. I needed it, but I wasn't willing to accept it. You know? So now I'm in a relationship with a wonderful woman who's, I'm able to sit there and say, yeah, whatever you want to give, I'll take. And if I got too much, I'll pass it on. You know?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah, you can. I know. I know. So how's your relationship doing, speaking of love?
Well, I've got some exciting news, actually. We're getting married.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we're engaged.
Very, very nice. So when's the big date?
In a couple months. We're just trying to organize it all.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in a couple of months, we're going to be in Arizona, so I can't attend your wedding. You realize that?
Yeah, that's right. We're not coming to Arizona, so.
You're not, eh? Oh, well. Well, you know, just throw that in, you know. Oh, yeah, by the way. Well, that's fantastic. Fantastic.
Totally.
Good. Congratulations to both of you. See,
Oh, thank
I
you.
told you this was going to happen, didn't I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Now, how do you feel about it all? How do you feel about the relationship?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's growing. We talk about it a lot and about how we both know. I mean, you know, obviously it's not perfect, and we've both had our own growth spurts, and we'll continue to do so. But it's like we know we can expand together, and we know we can do anything. And she's the kind of person that she can.
Go ahead.
She can really do anything. You know, she's open. She can handle anything. She's loving. She's kind. It's beautiful.
So can I say something?
Sure.
Change your wording from "it's not perfect" to "it is perfect." Okay. Because it is exactly what you wanted. You want a relationship where you can grow and you can stretch yourself and you can discuss issues and work on them.
That's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
You know? Not the perfect relationship in the way that people think in the world should be a perfect relationship, but it's perfect for you because it's everything you want. Maggie and I, by the way, when we're together and, you know, we spend a lot of time together. We spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week together, right? Nobody else could live like we do that I know of, you know?
Yeah, we're kind of the same.
Good. So then what we do, of course, is that leads us to exploring our issues. When we're angry, when we're frustrated, when we're sad, when we're happy, you know, you dig, you know? It's So for us, we have the perfect relationship because we're digging. That's what makes for us the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
Okay? So change your psychology or change your wording a little bit. Not your psychology, but your wording a little bit.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
You know, because it is the perfect relationship.
Yeah.
And believe me, she's the perfect woman for you because she's willing to dig with you.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what it is.
You can't, I mean, trust me, I've done the imperfect thing. I've had all kinds of relationships before.
Yeah.
And the most important thing in my whole life that I've ever gotten was someone who was willing to travel the same road as I was and dig with me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that made my whole day. That made my whole life.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And we've been together 15 years now. Over 15 years now. Wow. You know, time flies so fast, you know?
I know.
We were saying this morning, like, it's like these days, a minute feels like an hour feels like a day feels like a week feels like a month, and a month feels like a year.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, what a way to live.
It's great.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else you want to talk about? Or you want to talk about love? You gotta feed me some questions here.
Yeah, I was thinking. I don't know, which just popped in my head. I was thinking about love and how those two things coincide. For me, a lot of the judgment that I've had in my life about not being loving to myself, my mind's judgment. Once I started, what am I trying to say here? Once I started loving myself and choosing little choices like you were talking about before, I started to realize that what I thought was me before was just my mind. And then when I started to really love myself, I could see that that's who I've been this whole time. And I was just so scared to do it out of, what other people's judgments or whatever. But it's like, the more you do it, it's like that love is just you. And it's just, you start to see that it's just you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And you know the nice thing about it too is once you start doing that, you start looking at the world differently, don't you? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you become less self-centered. And I know this is funny because, let's face it, you're taking care of yourself first, okay? And in the world we live in, people say, well, if you take care of yourself first, you're self-centered, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But what happens is you become less self-centered because as you take care of yourself, now you have all this extra to take care of everybody around you. And now it's like, what do I do with this extra? I can't hold it in. I can't just, what am I going to do? I can't burn it off. I got to do something with all this. Yeah.
It feels like a surge of energy too. The more loving you are to yourself, the more the energy inside you literally does increase, and it's true. You feel like you just want to give it out and share it and put yourself out more. And
exactly, and then you do, and like I said, then you start opening up to having that world view. You start looking at things in the greater and larger context.
Yeah.
And that's if we leave anything from this radio show, it's the message that, surprisingly enough, if you go inside yourself and take care of yourself first, you'll take care of the world more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But if you don't, well, then that's why we're living in the world we live in now. We've got, we do have self-centered and selfish people in the world because they're not taking care of themselves first. They're taking care of they're trying to take care of everybody else first, and then they're self-centered because nobody's taking care of them. They're putting it out to everybody else, saying, "Well, I'm doing it for you," but nobody's doing it for them, right?
Yeah.
So we live in a world where we have the haves and the have-nots instead of everybody having, And
it's like that fourth defining statement too. It's like we can't see that within each other if we don't allow ourselves to go there. It's like you'll just never see it.
Exactly.
Because you're constantly self-centered.
Exactly. And like the first, existence is but an extension of yourself. Well, what do you want? Like if you think about it, existence is but an extension of yourself. If you are taking care of yourself and then giving the extra to everything around you, then isn't that existence an extension of you?
Yeah.
It kind of works that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So it really, I'm noticing in myself. I mean, I've always had a global view. I've always been interested in the world, the globe, all the things and that kind of stuff. But I'm becoming more attuned to the humor of the world, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Because the more I give to myself, the more I can give to others. And then the more I see that others don't want to give that away. You know, they're so needy. It's like they'll suck everything they can out of you without ever looking at themselves and saying, "Am I full or not?" It's like when you go sit at a meal, you know, and you sit there and you go to a restaurant and they put a plate in front of you, especially if you're, by the way, if you're American. Nothing to the Americans, but your plate sizes are a little large and your portion sizes are extremely large. Okay.
Yeah.
And you go to a restaurant and they put this plate full of food in front of you, and you sit there and you think to yourself, okay, well, I can eat this, you know, and you start eating and eating, and you don't pay attention to how full you are. So you're eating and eating and eating until you're completely stuffed and bloated, and you walk away from the table complaining about how stuffed and bloated and how your stomach's so sore and you can't walk and you're sluggish and you don't have any energy and everything else, okay? But at no time did you stop and look at yourself and say, well, am I full? You know, like, have I had enough?
Yeah.
Because if you had, you might have stopped when you ate 10% of your meal. Maybe you would have stopped when you ate 20%. Who knows? But at some point in time, you would have stopped and said, yeah, I've had enough. I don't need any more. Give this to the next person. Now, of course, you can't do that in a restaurant. They won't let you pass your plate on to the next person unless they're sitting at the same table as you. Can you imagine going in a restaurant and everybody, like half the restaurant's eating, the other half's waiting for the people to finish eating, so whatever they don't eat, they can eat, you know? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, right.
I mean, think about it. Look of all the people in this world, like even in our society, even Canadian and American society, where all these people that are going hungry every day, and we don't give them our food, the extra food we have. We don't give it to them.
It's insanity.
It's like, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if you could just like have a restaurant where, you know, the people that don't have the ability to buy food are sitting on that side, the people that do are sitting on that side, and the people that do, once they're finished, if their plates are clean, that's fine. You're sorry you don't get anything, but you know, if the plate, people just eat enough to fill themselves, not to overstuff themselves, and then whatever's left over, they pass on to the next people. Like, hey, that's an idea.
Yeah.
It'll never happen, but it's an idea.
Not in the next little while, anyway.
No, seriously, it's like, you know, because, you know, we live in a society where, hey, if somebody ever got sick or if there was anything that's wrong, it's like, oh, you know, there's just so many rules and, you know, when you think the way I'm thinking, you don't think in terms of those rules and things, you know,
No.
you just don't. It's
You rise above all of that stuff.
well, yeah. But, you know, unfortunately, we live in a world of rules and regulations and health scares and like this thing with XL Foods now going on in Alberta and, you know, and the E. coli scare that's going on in the world. And it's like, oh, man. It's like, I'm looking at it and thinking to myself, geez, I'm glad I'm actually vegetarian these days.
I know. No, I know. Kim and I have been saying that constantly.
You know.
Don't want it.
But, you know, you can get E. coli from vegetables too, you know.
Sure.
But,
Sure.
less chance, but you still can get it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So, that's it?
It's been a half-hour conversation. Maybe we'll
Has it?
call it at that. Yeah.
Wow, already?
I mean, there's an infinite amount of things we could talk about, but
Well, why don't we
We'll,
pick something else? Pick something else. Come on, Jeff. You know, give me, I don't know. Give me one more thing. I don't know.
let's talk about.
Hey, I know. Let's talk
Okay.
about the Wonders Cleanse.
Okay, sure.
Okay, you were saying before we started the radio show how, you know, some people are experiencing cramps in their legs. Okay. Well, my take on this. By the way, I've never experienced the cramps in the legs. Okay, but my take on it is that when you do it, you're cleansing so many things on so many levels, and that you're actually forcing a lot of the toxins to move in your body, right? So you think about it. You're cleaning your blood. You know, burdock root is a blood cleanser. Okay, you're cleaning your liver. You're getting rid of parasites in your body. Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're cleaning your spleen. You're cleaning your gallbladder. You know, there's just so many things you're cleaning you're cleaning your blood too at the same time.
For sure. For sure.
So while you're doing all of this, your blood's taking all these toxins that are in your skin and in your fatty cells in your body, and it's kind of moving them around, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if your elimination isn't capable of putting them out. Like you're not drinking enough water or you're not pooping enough, you know? Well, guess what the toxins do? They just stay there and accumulate again, right? And so I suspect that there's two things that are happening, and I'm not, don't quote me on this, okay? But I suspect what's happening is that number one, you're getting the removal of toxin effect, okay? And number two, you're getting the toxins not quite moving fast enough out of your body, you know? So you end up with cramping and that kind of stuff. But
For sure. Especially if you're coming into it quite toxic already. I mean, if you had done some cleansing beforehand, maybe it wouldn't be so severe. But
well, there's one way I've always found for myself when I have leg cramps. What I do is I take an Epsom salt bath. I just stick myself into a bathtub, put 1, 2, 3 cups of Epsom salts in there, and soak for 20 minutes to half an hour, and it gets rid of the cramps.
Yeah, Kim really turned me on to that. It's really great. I never used to do it, but it's great.
Well, there you go. So you can combine the Wonders Cleanse with an Epsom salts bath, and it helps to move the toxins around as well. You know.
Yeah.
So you might find that might be helpful for the people who were questioning or wondering about the Wonders Cleanse. Which, by the way, the Wonders Cleanse can be had in that. I think it's the series is various cleansing protocols by the Wonders. I think that's the series.
That's the one.
So
Yeah, and you really got to get the series. I mean, you could hear the ingredients from somebody, but you got to get the series.
Yeah, because it's got so
lots
much
of stuff in there.
Yeah, it's got a lot of nuances to it.
Yeah,
it's not just about here's the ingredients, take the ingredients. There's a lot of other knowledge in there that you need to look at.
Yeah, absolutely.
And work with.
Yeah.
So. And like Maggie and I, we've done so many cleanses over the years. We've done the Master Cleanse, we've done the liver cleanses, we've done the Wonders Cleanse, and we do them all on and off as we go along. Same as you, right?
Yeah.
And but you get to a point where it's like, oh, I've done enough cleanses. Like I'm so tired of cleansing right now.
I know. Actually, we're going to do one next week. We're going to do a week Master Cleanse, and I'm still kind of. I'm resisting, and I'm like, oh man, do I really want to do this again?
Good boy. Yeah, I've been resisting for a year to do a Master Cleanse. It's like I do not want to do another Master Cleanse. It's like I know my body could use it, but do I want to do it? No.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to do a week.
Yeah, well, that's not bad. I think we'll do a Master Cleanse when we're down in Arizona, because that way I can get the heat and the sun feeling like because the Master Cleanse always makes me feel cold. I don't know about you.
Oh, for sure. I probably said I'm not doing it in the winter ever again.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now you're going to do it in a week.
Yeah. Well, it's not snowing yet. So.
No, but it's damn cold outside. I think Master Cleanses should all be done in the summertime, and it's really hot.
Yeah.
I think we should go down to Arizona. Summertime in Arizona is about 140 Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. Man. So that's a good place to do a Master Cleanse.
What's it like down there now?
It's about 30, 32 degrees, somewhere around there, Celsius,
Nice and dry.
Nice and dry, sunny every day. I look at my weather map and I look at it and go, yeah, I think we should be down there.
That'll be great. Actually, my parents are going down there too in a week.
Are you? Are they?
Yeah, my aunt is. She runs Ironman triathlons, and she's doing a big race down in Arizona, and they're going to go with them. So.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of fun.
Your aunt runs Ironman triathlons.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's in her 50s, and she used to be a CEO for an airline company, and then she retired, and now she's doing Ironman. She just started doing it out of the blue too. She's amazing.
Wow, you have an interesting family, buddy.
Yeah.
Between being an artist or being a musician like yourself, now an Ironman triathlon, organizer, your wife who's into child welfare, Yeah. It's like fantastic. Man, what a family you got.
Yeah. Fine.
So, all right. Well, listen, I got to get going. It's time for me to quit for the day.
All right.
Well, not the day, but
Feet up, read a book?
No. But I'm going for a massage today.
Ah, nice.
Yes. That's also part of the cleansing protocol,
Yeah.
In my way, in my mind anyways. So, you have a great one. And,
you too. Thanks again. Always a pleasure.
Yep. And we'll talk to you again very shortly for the next radio show.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you, Maggie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.